It wasn't too long ago that I woke up feeling lost. My days seemed to blend into one another, and I had trouble finding any purpose in the routine. After losing my spouse and seeing many of my friends move away, I was left alone in a house that once felt full of laughter. The silence was overwhelming. It wasn't that I didn't have the time to do what I wanted, it was that I didn't know what to do anymore. I found myself waiting for something to happen, but nothing ever did. One morning, as I sat sipping my coffee, I realized I didn't have to wait for life to happen. I could take control. I could create a new rhythm, a new routine, and shape my days into something meaningful, even without anyone around. That realization sparked a change. Slowly, I began to build habits, small ones at first, that helped me fight off the loneliness and brought purpose back to my life. I'm Henry, and at 78, I've learned that age doesn't have to mean loneliness. Even when you're on your own, you can still live a full, rewarding life. And I'm here to share 6 daily habits that have transformed my days. These aren't just habits to fill time, but simple, powerful routines that helped me stay physically strong, mentally sharp, and emotionally connected to the world around me. I've discovered that the difference between loneliness and peaceful solitude isn't about how many people are around you. It's about the choices you make every day. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through these 6 habits that can help you embrace aging with strength and joy. And I promise these small steps can make a world of difference, just like they did for me. As I sat quietly one evening, the weight of solitude pressed on me more than usual. I had spent the day doing little things, watering my plants, reading a few chapters of a book, and watching the news. But something was still missing. The days seemed long, and the nights felt even longer. It's something I had to admit to myself. Aging alone was becoming my greatest fear. Many of us don't like to talk about it, but it's a fear that lingers in the back of our minds. I never expected to be alone at this stage of life. It was something I pushed away, pretending it wouldn't happen to me. But now, as the years went by, I started to realize that if I didn't take control, I would let loneliness consume me. What I didn't know back then was that I had more power than I realized to shape the life I wanted, even without anyone living under the same roof. That's why I want to share something important with you today. The truth is, no matter your age, you don't have to live in fear of being alone. You can live a life full of meaning and joy even when you're on your own. Over time, I discovered 6 habits that help me stay engaged with the world, connected to others, and at peace with myself. And they don't require waiting for others to fill the silence. They empower you to embrace your own company and build a new sense of purpose. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned is that it's the small choices we make every day that add up. If I allowed myself to simply sit back and wait for the next phone call or the next visit, I'd only feel more isolated. But by setting a routine, staying active, and engaging with others in simple ways, I began to realize that life doesn't stop when you grow older. It just takes on a different rhythm. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about making the most of what you have, finding joy in the small moments, and creating a life that's fulfilling on your terms. For me, it was picking up the phone and calling old friends I hadn't spoken to in months. It was deciding to take a walk every morning, even if it was just around the block. It was pushing myself to try new things, like joining an online group or taking up a hobby I'd always been curious about. So, if as I sat there reflecting on my journey, I couldn't help but think of how many people, like me, face the quiet struggle of aging alone. It's something we don't often talk about, yet it's a reality for many of us. The world is changing so fast, And with people moving away or getting busy with their own lives, the isolation can creep in, sometimes without us even realizing it. For a long time, I tried to ignore it. I told myself that I was fine, that it was just a phase. But deep down, I knew that something had to change. It's easy to feel like being alone means being forgotten, like life is passing by while the world keeps moving forward. But what I've come to understand is that aging doesn't have to mean being left behind. In fact, it's one of the most powerful opportunities we have to create a life full of meaning, even when the days seem empty. You can make small choices every day that lead to big changes. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical habits, things you can start doing today to shift your mindset and regain control over your life. I remember how I felt when I first began changing my routine. It wasn't easy. I started by making sure I got up at the same time every morning, made my bed, and went for a short walk outside. At first, it felt like a small, almost insignificant act. But as the days went by, I noticed something surprising. I started to feel more grounded, more connected to the world outside my four walls. One of the most common fears I hear from others, especially those aging alone, is the fear of being forgotten or unnoticed. But I learned that the key to avoiding that feeling isn't in waiting for someone else to reach out. It's about creating opportunities to engage with the world every day. Even if it's as simple as making a phone call, starting a new hobby, or chatting with a neighbor, these little acts of connection can bring a sense of purpose and joy that combat loneliness. The truth is, we all have the power to take control of our lives and make them meaningful, even when the people around us are fewer and farther between. It's the small, intentional habits that make all the difference. And if you're feeling like I was, overwhelmed by the thought of doing it all at once, start small. Each day is a chance to take one more step toward creating the life you want. And let me tell you, those small changes, they add up. They transform your outlook, your well-being, and your connection to the world. The key is to keep moving forward, one day at a time. And that's exactly what I did. Slowly but surely, I found that I was no longer simply waiting for time to pass. I was living. And that, my friends, is a gift at any age. As I continued on this journey of self-discovery, I realized that the small changes I made in my daily routine weren't just about filling time. They were about giving my life new meaning and a sense of purpose, something that seemed to have faded with the passing of the years. But what truly surprised me was how much these simple habits began to connect me with others. One of the most powerful shifts I experienced came from something I never expected: reaching out to people, even in small ways. At first, it was just a phone call to a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. Then, I joined a local group for seniors, and soon I found myself talking with neighbors I had never really connected with before. These weren't grand gestures, just simple interactions. Yet each one left me feeling a little more alive, a little more grounded. It made me realize that even when you're aging alone, you don't have to feel alone. Social connection is one of the most important ingredients to a fulfilling life, and it's something that we often take for granted. When you make the effort to reach out, to engage in even the simplest exchanges, you begin to remind yourself that you are part of something bigger, part of a community, a network, a world. And these connections, no matter how small they seem, can create a ripple effect that leads to greater fulfillment and a sense of belonging. One day, I decided to try something new. I had been feeling the weight of loneliness, so I decided to volunteer at a local food bank. It wasn't a big commitment at first, just a couple of hours a week, but the impact it had on me was profound. I found myself surrounded by people who, like me, were looking for a way to make a difference. We worked together, shared stories, and laughed over small victories. It wasn't just about helping others, it was about helping myself. It gave me purpose, a reason to get up in the morning, and a way to feel truly connected to my community. Through this experience, I also discovered the incredible power of gratitude. I had always been a positive person, but I realized that I hadn't been practicing gratitude in the way I should have. Instead of focusing on what I had lost, my wife, the active life I once led, the way things used to be, I started focusing on the things I still had: my health, the kindness of a neighbor, the warm sun on my face during my morning walks. It's amazing how much of a difference this simple shift can make. The more I focused on what I had, the more joy I found in everyday moments. And that's what I want to share with you today. Aging doesn't have to be about loss, it can be about rediscovery. Every day, we have the chance to build our lives in a way that's full of meaning, even when it feels like we're on our own. The power of connection, gratitude, and helping others can transform not just how we feel, but how we live. It's easy to forget that we are never truly alone. Every action we take, no matter how small, sends out ripples of positivity into the world. If you're watching this and feeling like I did, like life has slipped away, I want you to know that you still have the power to change your story. Start with one small habit. Reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Sign up for a local class or volunteer your time. It may seem small, but the impact it has on your life and on the lives of others will be profound. And most importantly, don't forget to appreciate the little things, because in the end, it's the small moments that fill our lives with meaning. As for me, I'm grateful every day for the choices I've made. I'm not just living, I'm truly experiencing life again. And I know deep down that if I can do it, so can you. What truly astonished me as I embraced these new habits was how easy it was to incorporate them into my life. They weren't complicated or demanding. In fact, they were simple, practical actions that anyone could start doing right away. This realization gave me a sense of hope, a feeling that perhaps life could still be rich and fulfilling, no matter how old I was or how much I had been through. For example, establishing a routine seemed daunting at first, but once I started, I realized it didn't have to be rigid or overwhelming. It wasn't about filling my day with endless tasks. It was about creating a structure that gave my life a sense of direction and purpose. So, I set simple goals. I started waking up at the same time each morning, made my bed, had a healthy breakfast, and took a short walk outside. These little things, like feeling the warmth of the sun on my face or hearing the birds chirping in the morning, helped set the tone for the rest of my day. And just like that, I felt more grounded and less adrift. Another habit that brought immediate benefits was physical movement. At first, I was hesitant. My body wasn't what it used to be, but I quickly realized that it didn't take much to get started. I didn't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. A 5-minute stretch in the morning or a quick walk around the block made a world of difference. These small efforts, though seemingly insignificant, brought so much energy and clarity to my life. And as I got more consistent, I noticed I felt stronger, more agile, and even slept better at night. What surprised me even more was how little social interactions could make such a big impact on my well-being. I thought that, as I aged, I'd have fewer opportunities to connect with others. But it turns out, the smallest efforts, a phone call to a friend, a chat with a neighbor, or even a friendly wave to someone passing by, made me feel less isolated and more connected to the world around me. I realized that social engagement doesn't have to be about big gatherings or busy schedules. Sometimes, the most meaningful connections happen in the simplest of moments. The practice of gratitude also became a daily habit that I never expected to have such a profound effect on my life. Every morning, I started writing down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, it felt strange, but it didn't take long for me to recognize how much this simple act shifted my mindset. Instead of focusing on what I had lost, I began to celebrate what I still had: my health, my memories, and the love of my family. This small shift gave me a renewed sense of peace and joy. The beauty of these habits is that they don't require massive changes or big investments. They are everyday actions, small shifts that anyone can make. What I've learned is that the key isn't in doing something extraordinary. It's in doing something consistently, even if it's small. And in that consistency, we find meaning, connection, and joy. So, if you're feeling like it's too late to change, or that it's just too hard to get started, I want you to know this: it's not. You don't have to overhaul your entire life all at once. Just pick one small habit to start with, and then build from there. As I've learned, these small steps can lead to big changes, and most importantly, they can give you the confidence to take control of your life again. It's easier than you think, and you deserve to experience the richness of life at any age. As I continued to embrace these simple habits, something began to shift within me, something I hadn't expected. I realized that, even though I was living alone now, I wasn't truly alone. It's easy to feel isolated when you're older, especially when life changes so much. Friends pass on, family moves away, and the days can start to feel quieter than before. But what I learned is that you can still find joy, purpose, and connection in life, no matter how solitary it may seem. It's a beautiful truth. Solitude doesn't have to mean loneliness. Yes, there are moments of stillness. And yes, sometimes the days can feel long. But it's in these quiet moments that we can learn to appreciate what's around us, reflect on what we've had, and be grateful for the little things that make life beautiful. I used to think that, to feel connected, I needed to be surrounded by people all the time. But now I understand that connection doesn't always come from being physically close to others. Sometimes it's the quiet moments, a smile from a stranger, a phone call with a friend, or even just the feeling of sunlight streaming through the window that remind us we are part of something bigger. These little acts of gratitude, reflection, and connection help bring peace to our hearts. When I sit quietly each evening, thinking back on the day, I realize how many little things I have to be thankful for: the warmth of my cup of tea, the phone call I had with my daughter, the birds chirping outside my window, or simply the fact that I'm still here, still able to enjoy life. These moments are the ones that matter most, and they fill me with a quiet sense of contentment. I don't need to be out at a party or surrounded by large groups to feel connected. Life, in its own gentle rhythm, can still offer me joy and meaning, even in solitude. It was also when I began helping others, in whatever small way I could, that I found a deeper sense of purpose. Whether it was offering a kind word to a neighbor, volunteering at a local food bank, or simply checking in on a friend, I discovered that helping others didn't just brighten their day, it also brightened mine. The more I gave, the more fulfilled I felt. It wasn't just about giving material things, it was about sharing my time, my kindness, my wisdom, and my love. These simple acts of giving brought a sense of joy and connection that nothing else could. And that's the message I want to share with you. No matter where you are in life, no matter how old you are, you can create a life filled with meaning and connection. You don't have to wait for something to happen. You don't have to be dependent on others to give you joy. The joy is in the small things, the everyday moments. Whether it's the way the morning light hits your window, a quiet moment of reflection, or the joy you feel from helping someone else, you can always find meaning in your life. You are never truly alone unless you choose to be. Living a fulfilling life in your later years is not about avoiding loneliness or pretending everything is perfect. It's about embracing your circumstances, accepting the changes that come with age, and finding peace and purpose in every single day. It's about looking for the beauty in the world, no matter how small, and appreciating the connections you can still make, whether they are with people, the world around you, or even yourself. So, as I look back on this journey of growth and reflection, I'm filled with a deep sense of hope and peace. I know now that no matter where I am, no matter how much I age, I can always choose to live a life full of purpose, connection, and joy. And I hope that as you watch my story unfold, you will find that same hope and peace for yourself. You're never alone, and you have the power to make your life meaningful every single day. As I reflect on all that I've shared with you today, I hope that my journey has inspired you to take the first step towards creating a life full of meaning, connection, and joy, no matter where you are in life. It's easy to feel like age and loneliness can take away our sense of purpose, but I can tell you from experience, it's all about the small, intentional steps we take each day. And I hope that, like me, you can find peace in knowing that even in solitude, you are never truly alone unless you choose to be. I found that through gratitude, small acts of kindness, keeping a routine, and embracing the simple joys that each day brings, we can still live a fulfilling and connected life, even in our later years. I've come to realize that the most important thing isn't where you are or who you're with, but how you choose to live and embrace each moment, no matter what. If you found any of these insights helpful, I want to encourage you to take that next step towards creating a life full of peace and connection. Whether it's starting a morning routine, reaching out to a friend, or even just taking a moment to appreciate what you still have, every small step you take today will make a difference in your tomorrow. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you find yourself feeling the same way? Are you facing similar challenges of aging alone or feeling disconnected? Or perhaps you found ways to make your life more meaningful and fulfilling, and I'd love to hear about that too. Whatever it may be, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. If today's story resonated with you, or if you feel that someone else might benefit from hearing it, please give this video a like and share it with your friends. It's always reassuring to know that there's a community of people, like you and me, who are walking this journey together. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Senior Moments Matt, so you don't miss out on more videos that aim to inspire and support people like us who are navigating the journey of aging with grace, joy, and connection. I truly believe that by sharing our stories and experiences, we can build a network of support that uplifts everyone. So, leave a comment below with your thoughts, questions, or any personal experiences you'd like to share. I can't wait to read them and continue the conversation with all of you. And remember, no matter what stage of life you're in, there's always room for growth, connection, and love. Let's continue to learn from each other and build lives that are meaningful and full of purpose, one day at a time.